There we go, and we are live. Alright, what's up, everybody? We're the Cerebral Spice Rack. We're live. Today we'll be talking about China and all the evil that's been perpetrated by the Chinese Communist Party and the government there, and basically just all of the stuff that's going on there that people in the West really need to know about, because the stuff that's going on there is just, it's crazy how many people don't know about it. We really need to bring more information on the subject, and more not disinformation, but dissemination of the information. So
it's disinformation based on whether Twitter likes it.
Yeah. So anyways, that's the top for today. We're going to, let me get this shared out, and if you guys want to introduce yourselves really quick. Harry,
Let's start with Matt.
Hey, what's up, guys? Matt Eisendrath here. In my second semester of law school. What's up? Haven't gotten kicked out yet, so I'm here doing some extracurriculars, trying to find out why China's so terrible, it looks like. But, I'm just trying to give an everyday perspective, and I'm real skeptical. I don't align with Everett on all of his political views, so I'm definitely going to be able to throw some wrenches in the works.
Aw. The monkey wrench thrower. Alright, and then Jason?
And then Jason.
Yeah.
I'm Jason Garshfield. I am a writer, occasional political commentator, and over the past year I've become increasingly concerned about the People's Republic of China and its influence in the world, particularly with regards to COVID. We've already discussed that in some depth. So
Yeah.
today, my views on China, I think that it's fair to call it a second Cold War, and I think it's fair to wonder whether we were hubristic in declaring the Cold War to be over when the smaller of the two great communist/totalitarian powers was defeated in 1991. So I'm very much a China hawk, and maybe not enough to go to war there, but I've become very woke to the evils of the PRC over the past year.
Yeah. And always, I'm your host, Everett Heath. And we're going to get right into it, man. This is going to be some serious stuff, but, needs to get out there. So we're going to do a quick timeline of China, just to inform you guys a little bit of what happened. So basically they were a dynasty sort of thing. So I'm not like an expert on Chinese history, but basically 20th century started, and they started shifting into a republic. And 1921, the Chinese Communist Party is formed, and eventually they get into a war with the Japanese, and that lasts for 20 years. Obviously the rape of Nanking, which was just a horrible event, and it led into the civil war between the nationalists and the communists, which ended in the communists obviously winning and the nationalists being forced over Taiwan. We'll get into Taiwan. And then obviously the Cultural Revolution, and then the Great Leap Forward that happened that just killed millions of people. It's just really sad what happened. And then China has a one-child policy that's started in 1979. It's continuing on now, and basically they've been shifting their economy more towards the capitalistic system, because they've realized that's what they need to actually be a global contender on the marketplace, or in the marketplace. So, and basically now we're at this point where we have the Uyghur population that's basically in a genocide since 2016. So it's hopefully that's a quick recap of everything that's going on in China. It's it's obviously not a full thing, because we're just getting through it really quick, but just a quick recap of basically what China's at, and we're going to be getting in right into a little bit of the Great Leap Forward, which was, this is basically Mao Zedong's his idea child in basically revitalizing and revamping the whole Chinese economy. People always say they moved businessmen into the farms and farmers out into the business people's location. That's an oversimplification of what happened, really. But yeah, Great Leap Forward killed 20 million people. Let me find here. So this is the main thing I wanted to talk about. We'll get you guys in here. Sorry, I'm just monologuing here. But the inefficiency of the communes and the large-scale diversion of farm labor into small-scale industry disrupted China's agriculture seriously, and 3 consecutive years of natural calamities added to what quickly turned into a national disaster. And in all, about 20 million people were estimated to have died of starvation between 1959 and 1962. It's just really, it's an unfathomable amount of people that died because of somebody's, idealistic dreams to make the world better. I don't know. What do you guys think of the Great Leap Forward? We won't spend too much time on this, but anything to add?
Bad call. I don't
Bad
think
call.
that's up for debate. I mean, I don't think too many people are going to be on the side of pro, Great Leap Forward.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
wasn't like the Great Leap Forward like the 5-year plan China had back then?
Yeah, it was basically China's
Like,
version of the 5-year plan
all
that the
their-
Soviets had. Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, it lasted
Okay.
4 years, I think. And then so the Cultural Revolution, or not the Cultural Revolution, but the Great Leap Forward led right into the Cultural Revolution. This was also pushed by Mao to force out his political opponents. And basically, what happened here is that. So the Cultural Revolution crippled the economy, ruined millions of lives, and thrust China into 10 years of turmoil, bloodshed, hunger, and stagnation. So basically, it was almost a civil war situation where you had party loyalists going after anybody that was not a party loyalist. Students were encouraged to actually beat people on the street that weren't, with the Communist Party. People that were bourgeois. Clothes and whatnot. I'm trying to find the exact quote I wanted to see
It was
here.
mostly peaceful protest.
Yeah. It's just ghoulish what happened over there during this time, because 10 years, and what happened was about so historians believe somewhere between 500,000 and 2 million people lost their lives as a result of the Cultural Revolution. And I wanted to bring this up because it's kind of scary, because it's basically people were going after other people for their politics and killing other people and beating them on the street because of their other differing opinions. And I feel like this is, a path that we're on right now in America, with how divided we're becoming. Like we're fast on the track to become a cultural revolution sort of thing. So we need to stop it before anything gets there. We need to come together. We need to talk, and we need to not, engage in violence as most as possible. Anyways, what do you guys have anything to add on the Cultural Revolution?
Yeah, I mean, just starting out that we're definitely becoming a more polarized population. But I wanted to get your thoughts on, even though it's not physical violence, to be able to take someone's job away from them based on their political views.
Mm-hmm.
I know that a lot of people that are seen as pro-Trump supporters or went to the rally or whatever, it had nothing to do with their job or their livelihood. But because so many people found out who they were, where they worked, and contacted their workplace, a lot of them lost their job.
Yeah.
And of course, if you own the business, you don't want that bad publicity coming back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of hard to make a rule saying when you can't fire someone based on their political views or their political actions.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Yeah, what about, for example, someone getting a COVID vaccine, and then, because that's being forced upon a lot of people right now too.
Well, our freedoms are being held
You take
to it.
or you
Well, anyways, what the point Matt was trying to say here is that it's one step after the other, and I think that's one of the first steps becoming more divided, turning to violence, is pushing people away out of their jobs, firing them for their political beliefs. It's a step in the wrong direction, obviously. I don't think businesses should be firing anybody over their political beliefs. Obviously, it's a private business, and I believe they should do whatever they want because they're a private business with their employees. Obviously, there's regulations on that and whatnot. But I don't know. As far as political opinions go, it's another step in the wrong direction of becoming more violent towards each other. Because it's when you force someone out of their job, you force them out of their livelihood. They can't work for themselves. They become desperate, and they turn to other forms of work and mediums and groups, and that's what really radicalizes people. So we have to really bring the rhetoric down, chill out a little bit, and I don't know, try to work together on things rather than I don't know, saying that people are evil, and because this is what it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to a cultural revolution. We do not want that. I don't want to see my friends and fucking family being beaten on the street because of their fucking political beliefs. So we really need to stop doing all of this.
The thing that really struck me about the Cultural Revolution was these public struggle sessions.
Oh, yeah.
They drag you in. I read about one, I think it was in the Black Book of Communism. They brought the students into the gym, and the teachers were there tied up in stools with dunce caps forced onto their heads. So there's this public ritual. And I mean, the struggle session, a lot of what was done in China back then was supposed to be psychological. It's making you love Big Brother. It's not enough to make you submit.
Mm-hmm.
It's going a step beyond Nazis killing Jews. It's making you love the state, breaking you down psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time there's one of these cancel mobs, you get this same groveling apology written by a publicist. I am very sorry to all those who I've offended. I will do a lot of listening. I need to educate myself. I have blah, 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 blah. There's this canned, groveling, abject, pathetic apology that's always popped out. And here's the thing. I've said a lot of stupid things in my life. There's a lot that somebody could cancel me on. Anybody. It's like Barry has said, show me the man, I'll show you the crime. Mm-hmm. Every one of us is cancelable.
Exactly.
So if they did that to me, even if it was something that I'd done wrong, I wouldn't apologize. You don't owe an apology to the general public, and it's become, an apology in a healthy society would be a means for growth. It's become a public humiliation ritual. One which you participate in.
And it's not they don't forgive these people when they say sorry. That's the whole point of saying sorry. You say sorry, you made a mistake, and then you're brought back in. What's happening now is people say sorry, and then they're fucking just backlash. They're fucking thrown out of society. What's the word? Exiled. They're basically exiles after they say sorry. It almost gives the people canceling more of a reason to go after them because they've admitted that they did something wrong. So they're like, oh my god, they admitted they did something wrong. So we have to throw them out of society. It's the complete opposite of what being sorry should really be for. So anyways, that's the cultural revolution.
Yeah.
Let's I'm gonna keep moving on here because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So we're going to a little bit, switching the topic a little bit, going into Taiwan basically and their history. And this is just a recurring theme that happens with China is that they force out people and they force people to live the way that they do. And I think the Taiwanese people they got out of it, or at least the government that escaped to Taiwan from China. They're obviously a democratic nation now, but basically what happened, the Civil War happened there, and the nationalists were forced out into Taiwan, and a lot of states have not recognized the sovereignty of Taiwan, and it's basically in this middle state of it's not a fully sovereign state, but it's not also fully part of China. It's in like kind of a weird limbo. It's weird because Trump recognized Taiwan, but Biden has yet to recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state. So I think Biden really needs to step up on that, and we're gonna get into more of his opinions on stuff. But anyways, yeah. So most of the people in Taiwan they want to keep this going. So opinion polls show that only a small minority of Taiwanese support pursuing one or the other at the moment, talking about either becoming fully independent or becoming a state of China. With most preferring to stick to the current middle ground. So that's basically Taiwan's situation. I think Taiwan's basically the lowest. They're the ones doing best out of all of the separated groups right now. But obviously, I think China is getting ready to go to war with them and to bring that territory back into their power. So I think we really gotta stand up for them. So I think Biden should really do something about it. It's good that we're talking about it. But anyways, you guys have anything to add on Taiwan?
Well, the important thing to remember with Taiwan is that independence, the prospect of independence, which China is so outraged about, that's the middle ground. If we really wanted to piss them off, we would recognize Taiwan as the legitimate government of all of China, which we did in 1979.
Ooh.
And it was a dictatorship under Chiang Kai-shek in the 70s still. So Taiwan became more westernized, more democratic after we abandoned it. So there's every good reason for them to be an ally of ours, and yet we still recognize this PRC tyranny as the legitimate government of China, which, we have our economic reasons, but if China ever becomes too much of a burden to us, then we should probably put them in a position where Taiwanese independence would look good for them by comparison.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good. It's like when negotiating, you go for the high ask or the low ask or whatever, and you try to negotiate towards the middle. So I think that is a good strategy. Well, maybe not a good strategy, but one that might work. I don't know. It might cause a lot of conflict, but I don't know. Something needs to be done. But not too much on Taiwan. Well, a lot on Taiwan, but just getting through these real quick. The next.
What are the main things that are bringing you to think that the Chinese are trying to consume Taiwan?
Okay, so their military, they're bolstering their military and their navy in the South China Sea, and they've been doing tests, military tests. I should have got links for this. They've done missile firings and military tests very close to Taiwan, basically asserting their dominance. And I think there was something else that happened very recently, actually. I can't remember what it was, but China said they gave them an ultimatum, I think. I don't know, Jason, did you hear about anything like that? I'm pulling this out of my memory right now, but I feel like China did something, like gave them an ultimatum. I don't know. I might be pulling that out of my ass, but I think it's their military is definitely getting ready, and just based on China's history of them consuming other places, they've done this with Tibet, they've done this with the Uyghur state. It's what they want to do. Like it's going back to how Hitler, we kept appeasing him. He took the Czech Republic, he took the Sudetenland, he took the Rhineland, he took all those places, and we were just like, okay. Same thing with China, dude. They're taking all these territories and we're not doing anything about it. And we do have, I think, a sort of protection around Taiwan if they do get invaded, but it's still like, I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, so, but I know that there's they are getting ready for it. So I should have gotten more things like that, but
I don't see Biden being the toughest on this.
No, I couldn't see if China invaded Taiwan right now. I don't think anything would happen, to be honest. I mean, it's the same thing when Russia took Crimea. Nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. Like I think we were allies with Ukraine, no, and we just didn't do anything. Nobody did anything about it. So it's gonna be the same sort of thing, If China moves in, it's pretty much theirs, and they're getting ready for it. I don't know. That's why we're talking about it, anyways. But yeah, going on to the China-Tibet relations. So obviously, Tibet has been a big thing there. Sorry, I'm brain farting right now. So basically, back in 1950, the Chinese Liberation Army marched troops into Tibet 1 year after Communist Party Chairman Mao Zedong wins the Civil War. So basically, they railroaded freaking Tibet. They pushed their military in there and they took it by force. Basically, and it's been in the same sort of situation since. So what happened in '59? So they staged an uprising, which killed thousands after reforms were introduced to end centuries of feudalism. And Tibet's king, the Dalai Lama, fled to India with 80,000 followers, and he established a government in exile. So just a lot of just really, really bad and just horrendous things going on with Tibet. And I think the main reason why Taiwan's so safe is because they got a little body of water between them, whereas Tibet, they're on the border. So the China didn't have any problem just moving in, because Tibet's was a very weak country, if you can even say it was a country. There wasn't really. I mean, there's another thing I'm not an expert on is Tibet stuff, but it's something that really goes with the narrative we're trying to build here, is that China is an evil empire that wants to take as much land and territory as possible and indoctrinate as many people as possible into their cultural norms, which
Yeah,
is
that was the thing during the Cultural Revolution, is that they actively tried to destroy the Buddhist culture and statues and stuff.
yeah, yeah. And basically, so to I think you gave this article, Jason. So maybe you know more about Tibet than I do.
Yeah, I'm not the hugest expert, but it seems roughly analogous to the position of Poland to Russia. You know, they were kind of on again, off again part of China, and then they were just steamrolled in the 50s, and people forget about this. You know, nobody even talks about it anymore, but that was one of China's first major modern conquests. I mean, the Dalai Lama, I think the Dalai Lama got some FBI funding or CIA funding to as an anti-China propaganda piece, but even so, like, I remember, so at UCSB I looked on the student clubs and there was Students for a Free Tibet, but I never heard about them once. Like, they were a registered club, but nobody gave a damn.
Yeah.
So that's the Chinese model, you know. First they came to the Tibetans, they just steamroll people, slowly get bigger, and once they've gotten to a certain point, your negotiation point is they push the Overton window. Like, see with Taiwan, now even the Taiwanese don't want to be recognized as China, they just want independence.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even the Tibetans have a lot of them have kind of given up, so that's the scary thing about China, is that it wins a lot.
Yeah, they need to be stopped at some point, but
do we have any other political views besides the United States position? Like, do we know how Russia or Canada or any of the other, or Europe, feel about this expansion?
I didn't look up any articles on them, but I mean, I would assume obviously Russia probably doesn't give a shit as long as they're not taking their territory. I mean, I think Europe condemned the actions, but they didn't do anything about it. Obviously. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't think anyone in the NATO orbit would be radically different from America in their reaction to this issue.
Yeah, but basically moving on. It's kind of just a random one just to throw in here, but basically, China has been trying to penetrate our electricity grid in the U.S. Basically, cyber spies have penetrated the U.S. electrical grid and left behind software programs that could be used to disrupt the system, according to current and former national security officials. The spies came from China, Russia, and other countries. And the next quote: the Chinese have attempted to map our infrastructure, such as the electrical grid, said a senior intelligence official. So have the Russians. So this was in 2009, and we had proof of them hacking into our electrical grid, which is really scary. You know, I'm sure people in our CIA have done stuff with tried to get in their grid too. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but we know for a fact here that that China, Russia, and other countries, they really tried to penetrate, and they did penetrate our electrical grid. So I don't know. Do you guys have anything to add on that? It was just a quick.
No. What did they do specifically, though?
It doesn't say specifically. I don't have the. I'm not subscribed to Wall Street Journal, so I can't get the whole article, unfortunately.
I hate that.
But basically, they left software that that could be used in the future to undermine our grid, basically. Yeah, techno mumbo jumbo. Obviously, we probably wouldn't know too much other than just the general idea of it if we were to look into it anyway. So, yeah. So, I mean, maybe a little out of place, but you know, it just shows the Chinese are they're making moves. So we're gonna move on to.
I mean,
okay, go there.
They've been spying on us this whole time. Why would we think otherwise?
Yeah, exactly. And that was back in 2009 too. So just imagine where it's at now, 12 years later, or 12 years later. Yeah, 12 years later.
Well, yeah, our infrastructure, our power, enormous, and just to think like if they just knew the giant and technical spots to hit, you know. Just pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Crazy sounding.
Yeah. Okay, and then we'll get into the more cultural norms of China, and this is some really like disturbing stuff. So basically, this is it's another random one. So, driven to kill, why drivers in China intentionally kill the pedestrians they hit. So I'll read this out to you guys. So it says it seems that like a crazy urban legend. Oh, what the hell? Sorry. In China, drivers who have injured pedestrians will sometimes then try to kill them. And yet, not only is it true, it's fairly common. Security cameras have regularly captured drivers driving back and forth on top of victims to make sure they are dead. And the Chinese language even has an adage for the phenomenon: it is better to hit to kill rather than to hit and injure. And that's sick. Like this culture that they have over there of they'd rather kill someone than let them live. Like it's sickening, and it comes from a policy that says so. It stems in part from perverse laws on victim compensation. So in China, the compensation for killing a victim in a traffic accident is relatively small, from 30 to 50,000, and once the payment is made, the matter's over. But by contrast, paying for lifetime care for a disabled survivor can run into the millions. So they have an economic incentive to kill people, literally, that they injured. And there's a story in this. I don't want to take too long trying to find it, but basically this toddler was just bumped by a machine worker in this big bulldozer basically, and he just got knocked over, and the bulldozer driver back up, ran over him a couple more times just to make sure he was dead when the kid just got knocked over the first time. So it's sickening to hear what happened, and this is a cultural norm it's still going on. Like I found out about this like 2 months ago, and it was just my fucking jaw dropped. It's crazy because there's videos of it, there's proof of it, and it's ingrained in the law, and it's fucking insane.
It could be changed easily by changing the legal incentives, making the tort system more like the U.S. system, where you have to pay fairly significant wrongful death damages.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, it's probably, given the system, it's probably a logical decision, because you live in China, you drive a truck, you're not very rich, you probably have children too, and so it's like, it's like the trolley problem, the fat man in the trolley. Would you push a fat man in front of a trolley if it saved 5 others? Like, if you have your children and you are going to spend the rest of your life caring for a disabled person, so that's the people doing this, evil as it is, inexcusable as it is, they aren't psychopaths. They're making a decision.
Yeah, it's an economic decision.
And that's the thing about bad systems, is that they make good people act that way.
Yeah, it's pushed towards in this just sick culture, man. They really need to change the law on that. And if you go through this article, and we won't spend too much time on it, but people literally just get slaps on the wrist. I mean, one lady only spent like 2 years in jail for like literally murdering a child, and she was just like, "Oh, it was an accident. I thought it was a box." Like, how do you mistake a human for a box? Like, it's just crazy. But anyways, that's what the system pushes people to do, and it's literally sick. It's horrifying, to be honest.
So, can I say something?
Yeah.
It goes into their same like public incentive to like snitch on people. Like, if someone comes stumbling home drunk, like their neighbor, if you snitch on them and like they get put into a certain system, and then down the line they get ticketed for it, for public indecency, like inside their own home, and or just like maybe jaywalking.
Yeah.
Their
system is just it's whack. It's fucking crazy.
I heard a specific story that involved this Chinese man that basically, so he got in trouble with the law. I think he got into an accident. More or less, he was downgraded because he ended up like killing somebody or something in the accident.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't his fault. Maybe it was.
Well, it's the social credit
But
system. I mean, that's a whole different topic. Basically, this doesn't even have to do with the. I don't know how they work this into their social credit system. I mean, it seems like they don't even do anything. Like they just give people a slap on the wrist and then they're out of jail within a year or two, if even that. Like I think somebody was just fined.
well,
But yeah, that's kind of a different topic. The whole what's it called?
well,
The
I
social
wasn't
credit
gonna say it
system.
was just a.
You're chopping up really bad, Harry. We can't hear
They
you.
limit
Harry, we can't hear you.
their ability
Okay.
to
I'm gonna have to
travel
mute Harry for a sec, cause
across the country.
I'm sorry, Harry. I gotta mute
Um,
you for a sec. You're being too choppy. Yeah,
Kind of hear him.
yeah, it's being really choppy. Sorry, Harry. I'll turn it back on in a minute here, but we're gonna move on to so organ harvesting that is happening in China. So basically, China is murdering members of the Falun Gong spiritual group and harvesting their organs for transplant, a panel of lawyers and experts said on Monday as they invited further investigations into a potential genocide. This is just another example of how crazy the Chinese government is with their policies. And so basically the Falun group is a spiritual group based around meditation that China banned around 20 years ago, and 10,000 members appeared at the central leadership compound in Beijing in a silent protest, and thousands of members have since been jailed. And obviously, if they're in jail, you know, we don't know what goes on in Chinese jails, so they're just probably getting their organs harvested for free. And it's really sick what the Chinese government says on this, because they say the Chinese government regulations say human organ donation must be voluntary and without payment, said a spokesman for the embassy in London. So I don't understand how a organ donation could be voluntary if it's somebody you don't even know, if it's not your family member, because even then, like, people, you know, are hesitant to give their organs, you know, even for family members. So I think this is complete bullshit from the Chinese government. You can see what they said. We hope that the British people will not be misled by rumors, said a spokesman in an email statement. I think they're just lying. They're just straight up lying, and they're organizing these organ harvesting plants, you know, from minorities and affected people, and it's another ghoulish thing that they're doing, you know, because if the state can tell
Do
you
you
what
have
to do.
evidence to support that?
Yeah, this is from Reuters. This is information from the AP. Like this is
Yeah, it's pretty well established, the organ harvesting stuff.
yeah.
And this is people have known about it since the 90s, and nobody's given a damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the same thing that we'll get onto the Uyghurs. Like there's multiple personal accounts of what's going on over there. Not just personal accounts, but, you know, journalists that go over there and kind of go under the radar and try to figure this shit out. You know, because it's really hard to get any information out of China because of their, you know, how their government runs everything. They want to keep everything censored, keep everything on locks to make them look as good as possible. Obviously, they don't want to make it seem like they're freaking, you know, killing and organ harvesting their own people, but they are. Like there's evidence it's put out. Like it's just, and their excuse is that the people having their organs harvested have given them up voluntarily, which is, would you give up an organ for a stranger, Matt? Answer me that.
Dude, I've been tempted, and no.
Yeah.
Not unless it was like a kidney, and like
Would you?
unless like the rate of what's it called, death was a lot lower. I looked up the fatality rate, and it's pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, it's low comparatively, but still, dude.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like it's low, but I mean, like, I value my life more than that.
I mean, but a stranger, like would you ever give a kidney to a stranger over a family member?
Over a family member? No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, just in general. Like, let's say a random needed your kidney. Would you give a random your kidney right now? Voluntarily?
With the that's what I was saying, with the rate of failures. Like, there's not too many, but like, there's more than I'm comfortable like risking my life, dude. Like,
Yeah.
nah.
Well, obviously.
Not right
So
now.
that's the point I'm trying to get to, is that these are not voluntary. That you don't give
If there was no risk, yeah, I would. But there is risk.
I mean, it's organ surgery. Like, that's one of the biggest risks, because infection and inflammation is just it's so easy to happen with surgery and stuff. That's why people are in intensive care after surgery. And they don't give a shit about these people. They're probably just, they're cutting them open, getting the organs out, and not even treating them. They probably just let them die, Basically, just more ghoulish stuff. But we're gonna keep moving on here.
Imagine having the courage to protest publicly, knowing that your organs are going to be harvested.
It's, oh god, dude, it's so scary. Like, those people are so brave. Those people are so fucking brave, because they know exactly what would happen to them.
If they're religious,
With the,
I assume they believe in an afterlife, but still, that's something.
With the harvesting, do we know who's the recipients? Is it people with money?
It's probably the Chinese Communist Party officials. That's probably who's getting it. Everybody that's loyal to the party, they're probably the ones getting the organs.
Got you. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense.
But anyways, we'll go to the last little source here before we get into the Uyghur situation, which is the big thing I wanted to talk about. So basically, Hong Kong. I want to talk a little bit about Hong Kong. So back in 2019, they started anti-government protests, and this basically started over a extradition law that China was trying to pass. So basically, people in mainland China were fleeing to Hong Kong to escape the radical, crazy laws that they have, obviously. And Hong Kong had in place an anti-extradition law that said that you couldn't be extradited, basically. So people were basically safe if they were in Hong Kong from the law of the Chinese. But basically, Hong Kong, their security bureau, so they proposed amendments to the extradition laws that started all this. So then thousands took to the streets to protest against students, lawyers, business people. Like, these were some of the biggest protests that were held ever. I think there were almost 1 million people in the street at one time in Hong Kong, which is it's insane. Like, that's a crazy amount of people for a protest. And basically, I don't know how much you guys saw of the Hong Kong protest, but the cops came in. They started, obviously tear gassing them, rubber bulleting them, like our fucked up cops do here. But they eventually got to, I'll show you guys here, right before 2020. In November 11th, police fire live rounds at protesters on the eastern side of Hong Kong Island. 1 person wounded. That's fucking insane, dude. They're firing live rounds at protesters. Like, we would never do that here. Like, our cops are fucked up past anything, in my opinion. But we would never start firing live rounds on protesters. That is something we would never do here. And it's really sad, because basically the Chinese moved in. May 28th last year, Chinese Parliament overwhelmingly approves imposing national security legislation on Hong Kong to tackle secession, subversion, terrorism, and foreign interference. And it's really sad that Trump, he ordered his administration to begin the process of eliminating special U.S. treatment for Hong Kong. So basically, the protests, they fizzled out, and they got crushed by the Chinese government and the Chinese Communist Party loyalists there. And it's sad, because those people don't have a voice anymore. They're gone. They're railroaded, just like the Tibetans, just like the Uyghurs, just like the Taiwanese soon will be. This is a pattern of China. They take people and they fucking crush them. They don't want any sort of opposition to them. And I think if they had their way, they'd fucking conquer the whole goddamn world. They want us all to live under their fucking tyrannical regime. It's scary. It's fucking honestly really scary, because Hong Kong was supposed to be a free zone for another 100 years or something. I think that's the contract that the British had with them. But obviously, Chinese don't keep their fucking word on anything. So they moved in, crushed Hong Kong. It's just sad. There's no freedom anywhere on the Chinese mainland now, because Hong Kong was the last beacon of hope that China had in terms of prosperity and growth, and now it's just taken over, and we don't recognize it anymore. It's really sad. I don't know.
Here's the thing: you hear people all the time attack Western imperialism. Well, if this is what happens when the British Empire gives up its territories, maybe a little bit more Western imperialism would be in order here. You know?
I think so. I
And
think we have a lot better intentions than the Chinese would with their colonies. Obviously, I'm not a colonialist, but if we could take back Hong Kong, that would be fucking great, dude. Because
yeah,
those people are suffering.
I mean, take India. You know, whatever bad the British did in India, and they certainly did a lot.
Hmm.
They were much gentler than China would be if China conquered
Oh
India.
yeah. Oh definitely. Yeah. Like not excusing the the horrors or anything they did, but the level of evilness that the Chinese perpetrates is on another. They're in my opinion they're on the level of the Third Reich, Hitler's regime. They're literally one for one. But the thing with Hitler is everybody condemns Hitler. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on in China. It's just it's
You
really
know
frustrating.
a bit more about it now. Now that they see Mike Cernovich, I'm not saying I like everything Cernovich tweets, but he did have a pretty good tweet a while ago.
Hmm.
This is our punishment for ignoring the Uyghurs.
Hmm.
Is that now we didn't stand up to the PRC government. Now they've inflicted a virus on the world, and we're all suffering from it. So it's stuff. This stuff doesn't just stay in China.
Hmm.
And when we ignore this for decades, it will manifest itself
Hmm.
in our lives.
Yeah.
And people, I mean, people are angry at China right now, so I'm pretty optimistic about that. I just, unlike with Hitler, you know, he kind of came in and he took over Germany, and then Germany had been the Prussian states and all that. But
Hmm.
China has been China. It's the oldest continuous civilization.
Hmm.
You know, they've
Yeah.
in their basic form since before Christianity,
Yeah,
before
it goes way back, the Ming Dynasty and all that. I don't know when it started,
this
but
is
like,
the equivalent of Mesopotamia or ancient Egypt
Mhm.
being around in our day.
yeah.
Like they're so well established, they've survived everything that's been thrown at them, and so
Hmm.
they're a much more formidable opponent
Hmm.
spiritually than the Nazis were.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree. At least right now, they were having their problems during World War II and whatnot, and that doesn't excuse what Japan did to China, with the rape of Nanking and all. But still something needs to be done about them. Anyways, we'll keep moving on. Anyways, Harry and Jason, did you guys share it out real quick? Just I want to make sure we got reach on the live podcast. So if you guys could do that real quick, and Harry, I'll turn you back on because we've had you muted. I'm sorry. I just okay, we got you unmuted, Harry. Can you talk?
Oh.
Yeah, just because you were really choppy, I had to mute you because we weren't coming in. Okay.
I did share the links though on Facebook and
Okay.
socials.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. So Harry, if it gets choppy again, and I'll tell you, just like, there's nothing we can do because it's just we can't hear you. So
That's fine.
yeah.
I'm running off of barn Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's get into the main topic of the night, which is the Uyghur situation, which is the main thing I wanted to talk about because it's fucking frightening what's happening over there. I'm gonna keep using all these spicy words. I don't know how many times I keep saying ghoulish, frightening, and fucking I don't know, scary before.
Terrifying.
It's yeah, exactly. But anyway, so this Uyghur situation, the Uyghurs are a Muslim minority in China that the Chinese they took over the Turkestan province, I believe.
Xinjiang is
Xinjiang. Yeah, well that's the province now, but I think it was a sort of sovereign state before they moved in, just like Tibet was, in kind of like a limbo sort of thing. But anyways, the Uyghurs are a minority population, and this article, Uyghur genocide shows urgency of combating neo-Malthusianism, which is basically Malthusianism is the idea that the population is growing too much and we need to do something about the overpopulation. But basically, the Uyghurs are being forcibly sterilized in their in Xinjiang. So basically, what this article points out, and this is data from the Associated Press, is that the national forced sterilization has been dropping consistently, which is a scary fact on its own that they even have forced sterilizations for the general public because of the one-child policy. But it's been going down. But ever since 2016, which was the start of this whole Uyghur problem, you can see here that the sterilization rate has skyrocketed, and it's skyrocketed even more. I wish we had a more updated graph, but I mean, you guys can see right here that the Uyghur population in Xinjiang is dealing with a just, I don't know, atrocity level of action happening to them with this. They're forcing sterilizing them, which means they can't have babies anymore. This means they are effectively not going to have a next generation. So it's like it's fucking it's terrifying. This is why you don't have a one child, two child, any child policy, because this is what it leads to. It leads to forced sterilizations, forced abortions, and it's, I don't know what, like, you guys give your opinions on that, because like I can only say these, I don't know, the word so
neo-Malthusian-
Well, I
much.
just need.
The neo-Malthusian stuff is pretty interesting because it said in that article that there's a lot of Western thinkers who have pushed the same thing. Environmentalist Bill Nye has pushed this. You know, environmentalist notion that humans are a plague on the planet and we need to stop having children. That's a huge thing, especially among these elite classes. Part of them just don't want to make the sacrifice of having children, even though that's, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people say they don't want kids, and I think it's pretty sick. And I don't know if I really want kids, but I feel duty bound to have a few. Oh, you don't be a parent if you don't want to be a parent. Well, I mean, there's something anti-human about the.
It's fully anti-human.
And you know, the guy who wrote The Population Bomb, Paul Ehrlich, you know, most of what he said was debunked. You know, he wrote in the 60s, he said there would be mass famine, Soylent Green by the 80s. So that was when Soylent Green was made, people actually thought that it was going to be like that. Like that was actually a feasible dystopia. But then that was largely debunked. But there's this notion, and it goes deeper than anything Malthus ever wrote, this notion of human beings as a disease, which I think is, you could draw a line from that to what some of the elites in our society are saying.
Yeah,
I have to think it out a little more carefully, but I think there's a line to be drawn, and I think it's very anti-human, anti-life.
It's completely anti-human. I mean, you should always have the choice of giving birth. That's that. Like, as a biologist, like, our main goal as fucking beings, as living beings, is to reproduce. Like, that's literally the only goal we have at a biology standpoint. And if governments are forcing people to be sterilized and refusing their human right to have children, like, it's the next level of fucking tyranny. Like, it's just, I could get the idea of the idea of scarcity, and we're using up more resources, but there was a article put out, and also I should have put this into the into our sources, but there was an article put out a couple years ago that says that we're not really going to be overpopulated in the world until we get over about 10 billion people, which and they actually said that our population is going to start decreasing in the near future, because that's just where populations are heading. Like, birth rates are going down over the globe just because of resources becoming less and less available, and it's sort of like a free market approach, but with society. Society knows what needs to happen in order for us to proliferate, and we just need to be free to make those decisions for ourselves. We cannot let these tyrannical governments make the decisions for us, because you get all of these nightmarish things happening, and it's just sick.
It's kind of like how everybody started staying home before the lockdown orders. People, it's the fear of disease is built into us evolutionarily. So is the fear of overpopulation, because they've done studies with mice. When there's mice in a cage and they start breeding, and it gets to be too many for the population to sustain itself given the level of food, they just stop. They just stop breeding.
Yeah.
That's people in concentration camps, women who are starved are infertile, and so I think that's one of the few things that men everywhere find unattractive, if I remember correctly, is a skeletally thin woman. Some cultures like fat women, some cultures like women who are a bit slender, but not liking women who are starving not wanting to reproduce with women who are starving. I
Well,
should say, is that
it's a
human universal.
it's a biological aspect too, because I mean, someone that's starving, they're not going to be able to provide the sustenance to to get that fetus growing and get it all the way through the pregnancy term. So it's a biological kind of thing, we
But
like
nature has these mechanisms that are built in, and this is stuff that pre-exists government by billions of years. Same as the fear of the virus. Like when the government has to tell you that to be afraid of a virus, like if this was killing 20% of people, we'd all be locked down. There would be no question about it.
Yeah.
When the government has to force you to lock down, then they're usurping the role of whether it be God or the blind God of evolution. They're usurping the role of nature.
Yeah. Anyways, did you have something to add, Matt? Sorry.
Yeah. I just had a few questions to clarify what the sterilization. Basically, what is anybody up for sterilization, or is it only if you've already had a child, or what is the?
So they're forcing the sterilizations onto the Uyghurs. They don't have a choice about it. They're in concentration camps. They're so-called re-education camps, and they're just forcibly being sterilized. It doesn't matter if they already have a child or not. The Chinese view them. Actually, I want to get a quote here. They view them as baby making people. I think that's in the next one. Okay, that's in the next one. They have a sick fucking view on this, on the minorities, because they don't want them having children. But basically, for their mainland people, they would forcibly sterilize the mainland people if they went over the one-child policy. So there was a story of this girl that she had 2 kids, and there was a 2-child policy, and she had another one. And she was forcibly sterilized by the government. This was a mainland Chinese. I think she was a loyal Communist Party member, but they still sterilized her because she violated the policy. She's just.
It's used as punishment, from what I understand. Like, they get put in the re-education camp, so either you go along with the program, and you get re-educated and you become a glorious new communist man, or else if you prove really incorrigible, they just sterilize you.
So cruel and unusual punishment. Yeah.
The catch-22.
Yeah, and then
Really
so this next article goes a little bit more in depth of the Chinese opinion on what they're doing. So they basically say that they are what did they say? They say that they put these people in re-education camps to stop incitement of violence, which is, a group of people have liked to start saying that here in America too. But anyways, they say, what is their quote? Sorry, here. Basically, they say that the Uyghurs are baby making machines. I don't know if that's from this one. Okay, here it is. So this was put out by the Chinese embassy in the U.S. So studies show that the process of eradicating extremism, the minds of the Uyghur women in Xinjiang were emancipated and gender equality and reproductive health promoted, making them no longer baby-making machines. They are more confident, independent. That's fucking frightening as fuck, dude.
Their minds were emancipated. That's really disturbing. Emancipating their minds.
And they think that's an acceptable statement from a state that's supposed to be not protecting these people, but representing these people, calling them baby making machines. Fuck, they're insane, dude. They're fucking insane. This is
what my question.
That's race. Like I think it's a racist kind of thing, because they think they don't want the minority Uyghurs there, so they call them baby making machines as a way to insult them. And they celebrate it that they're sterilizing them. It's unacceptable. This is fucking unacceptable that the statement was even made, and I think they've even kept it up too. It's just.
I think China knows what they're doing, so they put that on Twitter, and that was right around the time everything Trump tweeted was being taken down. So some people said, "Hey, Twitter, you can take this down."
Oh yeah, it was January 7th. Holy fucking shit! Holy shit!
And so. That China knows that they know that we know that's bullshit. They're just insulting us. I'm certain with that one, what they're saying is we're committing a genocide and you can do nothing to stop it.
Yeah, so they'll they can fully ban a sitting fucking president for saying to go peaceably march down to the Capitol, but they won't delete a fucking Chinese embassy fucking account that says that a minority population are baby making machines? It's fucking insane. God damn, it makes me mad. It makes me so fucking mad, dude. These fucking leftists on Twitter and shit, and progressives, they're the ones fucking pushing towards a society like this. And it's fucking scary. I'm not a conservative, but the left is pushing towards this, and we need to fucking stop it. This is what they're pushing towards.
What do you propose to be done?
Well, not banning them, first of all. Well, we talked about this in the last one. We need the section 230 reformed so that publishers, that these platforms are not publishers, because that's what's happening, basically. I don't know, that's the first step, anyways, in promoting more speech and not silencing anybody, basically, because you can see there's examples of like there are worse examples of this stuff happening on Twitter, but they ban conservatives for things that aren't even bad. They're just difference of opinion. It's fucking insane.
This claim about Uyghur genocide is disputed. They couldn't even put one of those little tags there. You know, that little exclamation point tag. This claim has been disputed by fact checkers. They could have left what China posted up for purposes of archives and of public information, but they could have put one of those little tags there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, if you say that 5G causes the Wuhan virus, then you get a tag. Like, it's just this little scarlet A that Twitter puts around your neck. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so Jack Dorsey did release a thread giving some justification for banning Trump's Twitter. Like, so at least he felt the need to justify it. Like, he wasn't, from what I gather, he wasn't taking it lightly, and there might have been some drama between him and the younger guys at Twitter, the millennials, who were raised in this culture and are now the active conduits of it. So I think Jack Dorsey is somewhat, him and some of these others are somewhat concerned about this, and yet they're not doing anything about PRC propaganda. Like, I don't know. I think they should at least be forced to answer about it, except every time they do that, you know, they go before Congress and Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz grill them, and then Mr. Rasputin of Twitter gives this non-committal answer. Yeah. And
I think it's
nowhere.
Just the fact that these, I don't know, modern progressive and leftist, most of these Twitterati people, they literally don't know what's going on, and they're only paying attention to American politics. They have no idea what's going on, so they let all of this shit just slip through. And I'm not saying it, I don't think it should be taken down. I think this shit should be left up to see what kind of fucking just frightening people these people are, like, or at least the Chinese Communist Party. Just you can't force people into, you can't force people to be silenced, because then you force them onto other platforms, and it doesn't make it go away. It doesn't. It's not solving the problem. It's just putting the problem off to another day. And you gotta leave shit like this up. You really do, so we can know exactly what their thoughts are, and we see exactly from this. This is, I think this is a fully racist statement, because baby making machines to a minority population. Just what if Trump would have called, Mexicans baby making machines? Do you know how fucking
exactly.
You know how fucking crazy the media would go if you ever said that about any fucking minority population? And the Chinese get to get away with it. Ugh. Anyways, mad. I'm not fucking. I don't support Trump, but just the media, the leftist fucking machine that they have. It's just it's the same thing as the Chinese Communist Party, but on a lower level, and they're pushing towards all of this shit. We need to fucking stop it.
Yeah, that's the history of the last half decade. Is every time you start to get sick of Trump, the left pushes you back into his corner. Like, and it would be so easy for them not to do that, but they just can't stop doing it. So every time I get fed up with Trump, I inevitably end up back on his side again, because no alternative has been presented.
It's like I have to keep defending the fucker because like these leftists are fucking insane. I'm not ragging on my liberal friends. My liberal friends are different than these progressive, crazy woke people, dude. That are they have hatred in their hearts and they want to hurt people. I don't know. That's my opinion, and it's
Just
obvious.
Look at how much they loved Rush Limbaugh dying. Like, people were,
They were celebrating. They were fucking dancing on his fucking grave.
He was a rough-spoken guy. He pissed off some people. I mean, you can't control what you wish in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you hear that someone you don't like has died, your first reaction might not be sadness. It's what your second reaction is that matters. It's whether you recognize that you were wrong to feel that first reaction or whether you embrace it.
Yeah.
And Trump was, whether he was telling the truth or not, he seemed pretty genuine when he said that he was sorry to hear RBG died, when that was the best thing that could have happened to him in an election year.
Yeah,
that was a gift to Trump, and his first reaction was to say that he was sorry that she had died, and that was instantaneous.
Yeah, like because she died that night, and then they asked him like about it like while he was at some rally, and he seemed genuinely shocked that it happened, and he like.
I mean, if he might have been acting, but at least it was, even if he was bullshitting, at least he bothered to put on a front.
Yeah, exactly. At least he bothered. These leftists don't bother with niceties anymore. They want to cudgel and bludgeon everybody that doesn't agree with them mentally, and it's going to escalate towards physical violence if we don't stop this bullshit. Because what you got to say, Matt?
Yeah, I got a question about your statements on saying the Uyghur genocide. Now, is it only for sterilization, or does that also include the systematic killing of the Uyghur people?
Yeah, they're dying. The organ harvesting. Obviously these people are in concentration camps. We don't. This is the same thing with the concentration camps in Germany. We didn't know what was going on until we got in there and actually pulled out the data. So we don't know what's going on, but we can make a pretty educated guess of what's going on. There's organ harvesting. There's forced sterilizations. There's these next few articles. There's a lot of sexual assault that goes on. They don't care about the lives of these people. They don't value human life. They value a mindset. They value like a collective mindset. They do not value human life at all. And it's very indicative of their actions and beliefs. But
I don't know if it's similar to the gas chambers, if there's anything like that where there's a full attempt at mass murder.
Yeah.
Probably the Soviet gulags would be a better one-for-one
I don't think because China, that's not their goal. Their goal is not to eradicate people. They want to indoctrinate them. They want to bring the whole world and make them think exactly as they do. And the more people they can have like that, the more people the more power they have. So, anyways, let's keep moving on here because we spent a little bit too long on that one. So these next two articles, we're just gonna do just a super brief thing because these are personal accounts of what happened in the Uyghur camps. So basically this woman, Terzane Zawawudin, I don't know if that's how you say it, but she gives a whole account here, multiple pages of what she witnessed in the concentration camps, what happened to the people. She goes into she had to tie up other prisoners and leave them in rooms for business people to go in and from the Chinese Communist Party to sexually assault them, and it's so sickening. Like it says here you may find some of the details of the story distressing, so that's why I didn't want to go too much into it. So you guys can look this up if you want. It's on BBC. Next one's the same kind of thing. Another personal account of someone that was in the concentration camps. This girl, she was living in France for 10 years, went back to China to sign some papers, and she was locked up for 2 years, and she was dehumanized, humiliated, and brainwashed. And same sort of thing happened to her. I had this article earlier. I don't know why it's blocking me out now, but basically just another personal account of what's going on. If you guys want to read more into like a one-on-one like personal experience of what happened, like these would be some really good articles to go into. But anyways, we'll go into the next one, where Trump, back in 2018, I believe, he was being pushed by Pompeo and other officials in his administration to label what was happening to the Uyghurs as genocide, but it never really went anywhere. He didn't do anything by the end of his administration. So basically, they wanted to label it as a genocide, but they didn't. They wanted to label it as ethnic cleansing, but they didn't do that either. So it's like we're basically just ignoring it. And Trump he didn't ignore it, but he didn't do anything about it. So I don't know.
Well, Trump was never. I mean, that was kind of Obama's thing, was badgering people around the world about human rights, and Obama did it very ineffectively because I don't think Obama has a very good grasp of human rights. Like he went to Cuba and he's like, yeah, America's not perfect, but we still have a black guy as president, so we can't be totally like. Obama would badger people about human rights, but he'd do it ineffectively. So Trump he came in and like he's a pure realist. Like he was not going to start lecturing people about conditions within the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's part of what we elected him for, was because we were sick of foreign wars. And when you take too much of an interest in what someone like Saddam Hussein is doing to his own people, then that is the first paving stone on the road to getting in a messy foreign entanglement. So Trump steered pretty clear of that. I mean, he didn't have any speech like what Reagan did at the Berlin Wall or anything, but yeah, no, I just don't think he was interested in it all that much.
Yeah, it's sad because I think we really could have done something, but as you said, it would have caused a big conflict. I think, because once you label something as a genocide to the international community, something has to be done about it. The international group of states and governments have to move in and act to get those people out of there, and that would obviously, I think, cause a war, and that would obviously lead to World War III because there's all these superpowers are piling up on one side and the other, and I don't know. I think it could very easily go there if the international community label as a genocide. But I feel like we don't have another option here. What do? We just let them keep getting genocided over there? I mean, that's not acceptable. Like, yeah, it's not acceptable. We have to do something.
I think about that. What would it have been like to be alive in the 40s, and every day another 1,000 Jews are being killed, and you're just sitting in America watching baseball or something. Like, what would it have been to be alive for that? And maybe we'll be able to say that we were.
Yeah, exactly. And we're on the side of wanting to do something. We're not ignoring it. That's what I want to get out to everybody that's watching and our viewers. That something needs to be done. We can't just ignore it. That's why we're bringing it up. Anyways,
I think the best tools that we have would be to release like information we have on these camps and stuff like that, because I don't think this is in the main.
Well, the mainstream media doesn't pick it up because they don't care about picking it up because they're buddy with the Chinese Communist Party. They don't care about doing anything about them because they, on the same basic level, they believe in the same things. I think that's my opinion, but that's why they're not picking it up.
To be fair to the New York Times, they have done some good reporting on the Uyghur situation, and even fucking John Oliver, the lefty comedian, did some stuff on it too. But I don't know. Like,
I mean, they have, like, the mainstream media has put out articles, but nobody cares. Like, nobody cares about it. Like, I think the individuals that write the articles, they care. But
yeah, and we have like explicit knowledge of like systematic killing of people where they're doing this every day.
Well,
that's their main objective.
We just went over.
I know we went over it, but I'm saying like what grabs people's attention would be like video evidence.
There's video on Twitter of the Uyghurs being put on trains, literally being put on trains. There was a video on Twitter circulated months ago, and it caused an outrage on Twitter, and then they went on to Gina Carano getting fired or whatever the controversy of the day is. It's this commodification. Remember Coney 2012?
Coney, I think so.
Coney, Yeah,
I
2012,
remember
it was
Kony 2012.
that African warlord, and so some guy in California made a video about raising awareness of this guy, and it was this big moral crusade, and it lasted like a week. Everyone was talking about Joseph Kony, and but that's how it is. You know, people will get outraged about the Uyghurs one week, and then next week they'll be on to Jeffrey Tubin or something.
You know, it doesn't have a moral equivalency. Like the stuff that's happening here is fucking peanuts compared to what's happening in fucking China. Like, of course we have our problems. We got stuff to solve here, but like this is something I wanted to bring up. Like while our parents, you know, they were having a good time in the 70s, 80s. What was going on in China? They were having cultural revolutions where millions of people fucking died. Like, just imagine what, like, if our parents' generation would have gone through the same thing, imagine what our society would be like. Our society is a very plushy and fluffy compared to what happened in China, and we don't have any understanding of what's going on over there. I don't
It
know.
lasts forever. Like from what I understand of Cambodia, like people there just like they kind of steal and lie and cheat as a matter of routine. Not that they're bad people, but that was what they've been raised into. Like there was those 3 years when you had to do brutal things to get ahead. So it's totally taken this entire country and debased it morally to the point where people just they kind of lie routinely. Like they'll do stuff that you might. It's my understanding. This is from what I've read. I've never been to Cambodia, but it's my understanding that it's degraded. What happened there degraded the people on a very basic level.
Yeah.
And you hear that with the North Korean defectors. Like I was listening to Yeonmi Park, and so she told her story, and some people were accusing her of lying, and so I heard North Koreans just lie, like they don't care about truth in the same way because it's a culture in which lying is a necessity. So
yeah,
they just don't take it seriously.
Yeah, but yeah. So let's keep moving on here. I just want to go over this article really quick. So what Trump did basically with his policy towards China, I think he did take the right steps on his policy, but he probably didn't do enough. Like he did the trade war, obviously, and this is something that I personally disagree with, just because I think it hurts everybody involved. I don't know. It is hurting the Chinese, but it's also hurting people here. I don't know. That's my opinion. But
Trade war?
yeah, the trade war that happened. I don't know. What's your opinion on the trade war, Jason?
It might be a necessary evil. I'm against protectionism economically, but
Same.
So China is creating 90-something percent of our painkillers, I believe.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
antibiotics.
Yep.
They're doing fentanyl also, but imagine the Soviet Union creating 90% of our antibiotics.
Yeah.
In 1950. Like that's a situation where we might have to move necessary industries to America. Take economic hit as to preserve the free world. So yeah, I'm anti-protectionism generally.
Yeah.
But this might be a case where it's necessary.
Yeah. I mean, in the case with the antibiotics and stuff, like, I mean, just imagine if a war happened, you know, all of our medication, antibiotics, they're cut off. So that would cause a lot of death here, just based on the lack of medication. You know, if it happened, you know, overnight sort of thing, and we didn't have any industry set up in place to take over. So what else did Trump do here? So just more policies against him, trying to get them out of the South China Sea, Indo-Pacific Command stuff. What else here? So basically, it says here all bets are off. This year reshapes many aspects of the U.S.-China relationship. So basically, Trump put Pompeo in charge of all the China policy, basically. And Pompeo tried to label the Uyghur thing a genocide, but you know he didn't do enough. So these are all the actions taken, you know, taken by the Justice Department, State Department, White House, all that. But basically, you know, but I don't think it's enough. I don't know. But then the trade war, I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough issue because trade wars, I don't know, they hurt everybody, but it might be a necessary evil. I don't know. Anyways, we'll keep going on here. Let's go towards Biden. This is a weird situation. So Biden condemned the Uyghur genocide like a few months ago, back in August. So he said that the Chinese government's oppression of Uyghur Muslims and other ethnic minorities in the northwest region of Xinjiang is genocide, and that Joe Biden stands against it in the strongest terms. But then a few weeks later, this has just happened like a week or two ago. He was on with Stephanopoulos, and he said, let's get to his quote down here. He said that it was like a necessary, like cultural norm. Okay, so this is his quote. So
the difference of culture,
yeah,
something to that effect.
Yeah, so people tried to say that he was taken out of context, but if I watched the video, it's like it's very obvious that he's being dismissive. Like, he's given statements that he thinks what's happening to the Uyghurs is genocide, but I think as president, he's taking more of a step back approach to it, so he doesn't, make the Chinese government, mad at him or whatever. But he says, I point out to him that no American president can be sustained as a president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States. And so the idea that I am not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in the Western Mountains of China and Taiwan, trying to end the one China policy of making it forceful, Xi gets it. So, and then he says, culturally, there are different norms that each country and their leaders are expected to follow. So it's basically, in the same sentence, he goes to say that he condemns it, but then he also gets it, and then it's a cultural norm. So it's like a complete, like, double-speak disconnect, in my opinion, that's going on here. And it's, I don't know, Biden should be fully condemning this stuff. There shouldn't be no excuses like Xi gets it, or culturally there are different norms. Of course there are culturally different norms, but there are some cultural norms you don't fucking accept, like genocide. You don't accept it. Like, in the international community, it has to do something about it. But anyways,
I mean, getting to that qualification of genocide is going to be hard without hard video evidence and widespread public support.
Yeah.
Because if you give America's history, before we've had military operations, it was hard to get everybody on the side of going to war. I mean, look how long it took us to go into World War II. So,
well, obviously, that's
disseminating that information of what actually is going on is the key to being able to have something done against these injustices.
Yeah. Well, see what happened in Germany. We didn't even go to war because of the genocide. We got attacked by Japan, who was allied with Germany. So we didn't even go to war because of any sort of genocide that was happening. We just went in because they were their ally, and we were kind of obligated to go into this war. So there was no ever intention of us getting into the war. I don't think FDR would have done anything, even if he knew about, the final solution. I think we would have probably stayed out of it for the most part if Japan never attacked us. And it's not a good thing that Japan attacked us, obviously, but I think it led to more progress in the world through all those events. Of us, destroying Hitler and the Nazi regime and getting them, wiping them off the face of the planet for the most part, taking all their power away. So I think in this case, I don't know if we would ever do anything just about the genocide. I think it would have to be the same sort of case with World War II, where either China invades somebody that we're allies with, or somebody that China's allies with attacks us. That would be the only thing that would, I think, get us into it immediately to stop this. But as far as us going in right now just because it's genocide, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we should, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know. I don't want to go to war in China to stop this, much as I'm horrified by what's happening. You're going to ask young Americans to give their lives for it, and that's a big ask, and you're going to be against another nuclear power, one of the biggest militaries in the world. So I mean, you can almost understand the America Firsters in the 30s and Lindbergh and those guys. War is not something to be taken lightly.
Exactly. So, no, it's not, because it probably would cause more death and destruction, but I don't know. We can't just let it go on. I don't know. But finish your thoughts. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
I don't know. Would I die to save the Uyghurs? I don't know if I would. I don't know if I could say that until I was on the battlefield.
Yeah.
With any certainty.
Yeah. Well, I think with everything else China has done, I think there's a good case to be made that something should be done. I think if it was just the Uyghurs, yeah, maybe it's not worth it. But with everything else that the Chinese have done, I don't know. I think it's high time for something to happen. But obviously that's a big decision to weigh because war is not a light choice to make. But I
I
don't know.
mean, yeah, I don't know about their own laws governing sterilization. That's like really iffy to me. I don't agree with it personally, but like if there's systematic like killing of a people based on race, like even for the Uyghurs, I think it's better to stop that,
Hmm.
line of thinking that that's okay.
Yeah.
It should just be like something we all band together to make sure like in our world doesn't happen.
Hmm. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. My camera's all screwy right now. Is that on my end or yours?
Oh, you're good.
We could see it. I could
Yeah.
see
Yeah, you're
your
good.
camera being screwy, but you're good now.
Yeah, my computer is complete shit. But yeah,
Yeah,
anyway,
you're solid. Yeah.
I think sanctions are probably. Oh, there we go again. I think sanctions are probably the best way to handle it, but I think we'll probably get to that topic in a few articles. So
Yeah. So I just wanted to go into this quick one really, or this next one really quick. So basically, Canada lawmakers to vote on accusing China of genocide, and basically, what was it? Justin Trudeau said that he did not consider it a genocide. Where is his quote on here? Okay, here it is.
didn't
So,
didn't really answer. He gave a stupid, useless, pretty boy answer.
oh yeah, this is what he
Very
says.
appropriate.
So, when it comes to the application of a very specific word, genocide, we need to ensure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed before a determination like that is made. So,
Yeah, political board.
yeah, I think that goes along with everything we're saying, because if they say it's a genocide, then they have to do something about it, as per international law. So he's not wrong, but at the same time, I think he needs to take a stronger stance about what's going on. But anyways, that's just a quick one of a foreign lawmaker, what Canada thinks of the whole situation. So yeah, let's go to the divestment article. So this is your article. I read it, but I didn't. I don't think I. Yeah, because you gave the article to me, right, Jason? So you probably know it a little bit more.
Well, this is an op-ed by someone else, but it's something
Mm.
that I've been thinking about for a while, ever since
Uh.
last fall, which is that. So my freshman year at UCSB 2012. Well, this was spring of 2013. The Students for Justice in Palestine brought this big Israeli apartheid wall, and that's just a common thing at all the university campuses now. It's been going on for like 2 decades. Is this the SJP brings the apartheid wall? They try to get a divestment resolution. They go on about how awful Israel is, and Hillel fights against it. This constant, very stupid campus drama that's been going on for a very long time. It's still going on. They still keep pushing for the divestment resolution. But these people on the left are absolutely obsessed with the supposed crimes of Israel. I'm not here to defend Israel on everything. I don't think most Israelis would defend the Israeli government on everything. That's just like most Americans would proffer great many criticisms of our own government. But
Yeah.
the fact that these people feign this outrage at Israel while doing nothing about the manifold crimes of China it puts the lie to everything. Like, don't tell me you give a damn about human rights if you're talking about Israel but not China or Iran for that.
Yeah.
Like, that was right when the 1,500 people were killed in Iran late 2019. Nobody talks about that. But it's this focus by the left on Israel, some of it anti-Semitic, some of it simply because Israel is part of the Western orbit. It's a Western nation, it's an ally of the United States, and they hate everything Western. But they will not stand up to this evil empire causing far more harm on the world stage than even the most cynical, even the most negative interpretation of Israel's actions could possibly. It's hypocrisy. That's all I'm saying. It's hypocrisy.
Yeah. Basically, what I got out of the article is he's trying to make the point that no matter what side you're on, no matter what beliefs you have, this is something that needs to be, done to China. We need to, BDS. So divestment, sanctions, and what's the first one? Boycott, divestment, sanctions. So that's what we need to do. So say. If you're an SJW, if you're a Christian, if you're a labor union activist, if you're a civil libertarian, they have reasons for all of you. Now, I don't want to read everything out here because it would take a little bit. But basically, he makes the point that no matter what you believe, there's a reason to not condone anything that China's doing, and the people need to step up about it. And I don't know, I just wanted to bring up this picture really quick of Trump and Xi Jinping. Trump looks very very uncomfortable there. It makes sense. I don't know, but anyways, yeah. So I think we should try to stop buying Chinese products. Of course they're cheap, and it benefits us in the short term, but in the long term, it's not doing anything for our society or our country, and it's just giving the Chinese Communist Party more power and more influence. So if there's ever a choice from buying American or Chinese, always buy American, or not even American. It's just made anywhere else other than China, like literally anywhere else.
Not something you hear a lot from the free market libertarian side, but probably necessary in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a choice. I'm not saying we should ban Chinese products. I'm just saying we should make a choice to not buy them. Because I would never be for banning any kind of product from anywhere. But let's all try to make the choice and decision to try not to buy Chinese products unless it's absolutely necessary. But yeah, basically, we should start the BDS movement. Well, we're getting to the end here. We're gonna get a little more lighthearted after all of our serious stuff. So this is a funny one. So China bans Winnie the Pooh film after comparisons to President Xi. So this is a big thing where people made fun of Xi Jinping and compared him to Pooh. And I don't know why it freaking... Oh, okay, here we go. Now I can get the whole article. So you guys can see it. Like this is the first time I've seen these pictures, the comparison pictures, and they're almost like they're spot on spot, dude. Like it's almost exactly like whoever made these and whoever got these clips is like top tier memer, dude. Like they knew what they were doing, and like it's funny because they talk about it in the article. It's just like making fun of him. Obviously, everybody doesn't like him, but he started cracking down on people that were putting this stuff out. So it says they censored every sort of poo. They canceled the movie over there. They got rid of HBO, which it was blocked 1 month after comedian John Oliver made fun of the Chinese president appearance, and his sensitivity to his comparisons of that of Winnie. And here's another picture of it. It's just perfect, dude. Like I almost think that like this is like an artist rendition. Like
it might be.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure, but
like I don't know if it's from the show. That would be fucking perfect if it is from the show. Like it would all just line up. Cause like look at this. It's fucking like it's so good. Like I don't know. It's pretty funny.
1 billion people in a country, you're gonna get some good memers.
Yeah, exactly. You can't silence the voice of all the comedian, humorous people over there, and they're just trying to make a little fun of their president, and he couldn't handle it. He's just too sensitive. And
it's not even a mean thing. I mean, Winnie the Pooh is not a bad character. It's one of those articles like, I don't get why he doesn't. That's what the author of the article is saying is, I don't get why he doesn't like this. I mean, they're trying to make President G Uncle G.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh is a kind of lovable character. You'd think he could easily have taken that in good humor and the memes.
Exactly.
Could have embraced
it. He could have embraced it. Yeah.
I mean, shoot, look, we got a whole industry around teddy bears, dude. Didn't that start off with like a president? Like, shoot, man. I feel like we can.
I mean, just the panda bear, right? Is China? He could have made a panda bear Winnie the Pooh. He could have done that. See,
yeah.
If he just took this in good humor, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, but it proves all of us right that are on the in the belief of holding that these people are communist fucking tyrants, and they will just they want to shut down any sort of free thought. They don't want any kind of they don't want to be made fun of at all, because that lessens their power in the eyes of some. Whereas I don't know, that's their opinion. I feel like it would almost give them more power if he embraced it, but because we wouldn't have a reason to be talking about it now. Like he could have proven us wrong by saying, oh, it's cool, Winnie Pooh comparison is funny, but no, he had to go all out on it, and fuck, I bet people are I don't bet. Like I know people are probably in jail because of this, like for fucking spreading a meme and a comparison. Like and you don't even want to think about all the ghastly stuff that's happened to them, while they're in prison from all the other
Winnie,
sources that we've taken over a Winnie the Pooh meme. And this, it's just. Anyways, it's a little more lighthearted. We're ending it off good. Don't want to be serious, super serious this whole time. But obviously, there are a lot of bad things that happen. But
mockery is the best thing you can do to these tyrants.
But anyways, we're gonna end it off on a high note because we got our last article is from Jason Garshfield himself. So lead us through your article, Jason. This is great.
Yes,
good job, Jason.
Almost a year ago, I wrote it on Medium. Look me up, Jason Garshfield, GARSH Field. I was writing some stuff on Medium about a year ago. This one is about. So in 2017, there was a Chinese MMA fighter, Zhu Xiaodong, and he was pretty critical of Tai Chi and pretty critical of the traditional Chinese fighting styles. So he challenged a Tai Chi master Wei Lei to a fight, and you can watch the video on YouTube. The fight lasted about 5 seconds. Like Wei did a couple moves. He got flattened.
Here, we'll put this up while you're talking about it because I wanna see him get beat.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So
yeah, it's a very simple video, but it was taken as an attack, and it's kind of weird because China, I mean, it's an atheist communist regime, and they're not friendly towards religion, but they still took the defeat of a Tai Chi master as an attack on Chinese heritage and culture.
Yeah.
So rather than celebrating this martial arts champion, they lowered his social credit score. They turned him into an outcast in his own country. And so in this article, I wrote why America will beat China. This is why China's going to lose in the long run, because he would have been celebrated for that in America. If he was a champion, he would have been celebrated. We're not perfect in America. We're capable of envy. We're capable of resentment. All these normal human flaws. We all have those. But we celebrate winners in America. China punishes them. That's why, I mean, can you imagine what the Chinese military would do if they follow some plan, or their space program, they follow some plan, they don't listen to dissenters, they don't listen to individuals. And that, so I also tied that in with The Tiger Mother, if you remember that book at all. Yeah, it was a mother who would force her kids rather brutally to play piano, and Amy Chua, I mean, she's kind of right-wing, I think. She's a Yale law professor, and she's kind of sensible on a lot of things. I think one of her daughters clerked for Kavanaugh, but she would talk about this regimen of hard work, which I'm all for hard work, but there is a line near the end of her book about how the Chinese never achieved the heights of Western classical music. There is no Chinese equivalent to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And so she taught her daughters to play Beethoven. She couldn't have taught her daughters to write Beethoven. Beethoven would not have thrived in such an environment because there is I mean, the Chinese system, it's test taking, this very harsh system of test taking, and anyone could rise into bureaucracy, even the child of a peasant, as long as they pass the tests. But there's a spirit, this Western individualist spirit that the Chinese don't have, and that collectivist systems, they don't let people sink to certain depths, but they also don't let people rise to certain heights. So then there was, the other analogy I used was chess. There was the Soviets pumped out chess champion after chess champion, and then this one crazy American, Bobby Fischer, probably, he was totally not right in the head. He would not have lasted 5 minutes in the Soviet Union, probably. And he came onto the scene and he destroyed every single Soviet champion. That's what these collectivist systems, they can be scary, but as long as they don't celebrate their champions, as long as they're going to take a guy who won a fight and punish him for it, then I think America is going to win in the end. Because our system is it's not a matter of opinion. Our system is objectively better for the human spirit.
Because we actually incentivize excellence. We incentivize being great. We incentivize going further than just living a mundane life. While these collectivists push for just monotony and mundaneness and carbon copies of the same kind of person. There's no creativity. There's no sort of outward thought. There's just alignment to a central dogma, and that's it. And I think that's why. Yeah, I mean, if you guys saw the video here, I mean, this Tai Chi master, he gets taken down like in seconds, like literally 10 seconds. He goes at him, like, yeah. I mean, we just watched this, but it literally takes 10 seconds for this guy to just be beaten down by an MMA fighter. And this is supposed to be the Tai Chi Grand Master in China. He just gets his ass kicked because a system like that, it doesn't incentivize excellence. As I said, you don't get the best out of it. You get what everybody thinks is good. You don't get what's actually objectively good, or excellent in this case. And I think it's a really good. I think you make a really good case. I think these systems, they all eventually fail just because they don't put faith in humanity, and I think that's the point of governments, is to protect humanity. And these communist regimes do not protect humanity, and I think they will all crumble eventually. I think we're gonna have to go through a lot more shit before they eventually do. But I think you're right. I think we will win in the long run. We just gotta keep our principles, keep our morals high. That we are the better system, and we are going to come out of this on top as long as we treat each other with respect. And we know, like, this goes back to what I was saying earlier, we need to stop this inflammatory rhetoric that's going on in our politics right now. We need to just chill everything out. We need to accept that we're not going to agree on everything. We need to know that if you were raised in the city, lived in the city your whole life, you're not going to understand anything about what a rural person goes through in their daily life. And the same thing with a rural person. Rural people do not understand what it's like to be a city person if they've been there their whole life. So we have to have more understanding. What's going on now is everybody's just trying to divide, and it's going to cause more malignment and more violence and more maliciousness to happen. And it's like we have to get off that path like as soon as possible. We have to respect each other's opinions, basically. But I don't know. Anything else you guys wanted to add as a conclusion?
No, I just think focusing on like world events rather than just what's going on in America is healthy, and I think that more our population needs to do that and look into what we're doing as a world force rather than just what's going on within our system itself.
Exactly. Good point. Anything you wanted to add as a conclusion, Harry?
Yeah, I guess more or less just branch out your sources of information, like Matt was saying.
Yeah, exactly. Because as we've been going over this whole episode, most people don't know what's going on. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
More or less, like, it's great we're shining this light on the shadow of China, and I hope people will open their eyes to see that it's not right, and something needs to be done, So hopefully we'll get there slowly and leave.
I agree.
Doing it the right way.
And I guess anything you wanted to leave off with, Jason, other than your article?
Yes. That article was my final statement on the issue mostly, but I will say don't let fear of a virus cause America to stop being America.
Exactly.
And here's the thing, given everything we've said today, this won't be as shocking as it might sound given the context of this discussion, but I would rather a lot more Americans die of COVID-19 than have America follow China's model. Freedom over slavery, even when it's difficult, because the alternative is always far worse.
Exactly. I would rather live or die a free man than live as a slave. As I forgot who to attribute that to, but that's how I live. So, anyways, I think that's we'll wrap it up there. I think we have a really good episode. I hope we informed you guys of what's going on in China, and I hope we push you guys to do some of your own research on everything that's going on. And something does need to happen. But it's a very nuanced subject. As you guys have heard us go over. So, anyways, just stay informed, stay researched up. Don't let people mislead you. And that's basically it. And love your neighbors. Don't be malicious to your neighbors if they think differently than you. Is the basic thought, because this is what it leads to, shit like China. So anyways, we'll leave it off there. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back here in, I don't know, hopefully a week or so with another episode. And yeah, thank you all. Hope you all have a good night. Keep it spicy.